If a man and woman get married, have children, and buy a house together, and then the woman says she wants a divorce, the courts will give her custody of the kids and the house, and the man has to pay alimony along with child support. Marriage only benefits the woman. The man has too much to lose. This is why 80% or even more men don't approach modern women anymore. Men have been raised to know how to treat women, but not to know what to expect in return, while women were raised to know what to expect from a man, but not to know how to treat him in return. That, in a nutshell, explains why modern relationships are such a one-way street. On both sides, the expectations have been placed squarely on the man and not on the woman. Women have endless demands from men. You have to be tall, handsome, rich, good in bed, funny, intelligent, and treat her like a queen. Men demand basic things. You have to be loyal, to which the woman replies, "Sorry, that's a deal breaker." That's what the reality is for men in the dating world. Both men and women have to play a part in their respective roles to complement and support each other in relationships and parenting. Men have their own traits and women also have their own traits. Both perform different tasks so that a family can be set up and well maintained within a short period of time. Look at the early ages of humanity, the years of the 1700s to 1900s, where the cultural roles of both men and women were so civil and portrayed that children of those early ages are so well brought up and well groomed and educated. This is something lacking in people in today's societies across the world. Those are the golden teachings of our forefathers who had preserved the next generations into the safe and stable life conditions we have now. But, now, what teachings do we have for ourselves? Pop culture, self-complacency which comes from advanced AI technology, and portraits of betrayal which comes from social irresponsibility. If men and women nowadays are of selfish, self-centered nature, and calculative, cold-hearted monetization greediness to make use of divorce as a way to gain financial interest in the form of a lawsuit, then it is best both men and women remain single. Let their loneliness of the heart sink into their minds, of the true value companionships, the true value appreciation of one another, and the social responsibility of one another. Men have been treated as a punchbag by society for decades. Women want to be passive and put all of the risks on men to approach them and for many other things. And they can sit back and analyze and criticize men for their perceived poor decisions, or they disagree with their approach. If they can do it better, go ahead. But fear and insecurity keep them from doing so. Men are expected to overcome those fears and insecurities no matter what. Hypocrisy at its finest. Feminism has been a boon in one aspect alone, to give women some confidence, which ends up becoming aggressiveness which turns men off in a big way. They should take that confidence to approach a guy they may have an eye on, not with the intention of starting a relationship, but maybe just to get to know that person. It doesn't have to mean being friend-zoned. The main reason why they don't is that they don't want to be treated like how they treated men when being approached. Rude rejection is something they need to accept in their day-to-day lives, just so they can even slightly understand what a man goes through. With the double standards of societal expectations to be providers and protectors, along with modern women's demands and delusions, it has become apparent to men that dating and marriage is practically a no-win scenario. Or in others, the juice is no longer worth the squeeze. Statistics by percentage: men 6 or taller is 15%, and men earning over 6 figures is 15%. Those two stats alone reduce the men to just 2.25% of all men, and do not even consider fewer tangible things like age, looks, fitness, nor if they're already married. So really, women are looking for about 1% of men, and still think they're being reasonable in saying that men need to be better. I sometimes wonder if women's equality and suffrage were such a good idea after all. Throughout history, women have been dependent on men, and all of a sudden, we've changed that, and now our culture is falling apart and we're not having children anymore. That's the problem. Throughout most of the industrialized world, we're not having enough children to maintain our population. We're not even close. I think it's all of us men and women's first responsibility to perpetuate the species. The problem with our era is that women have changed. Back in the day, women needed men. But I guess because of feminism subconsciously, they wanted to do things themselves. To be self-efficient and independent. I suppose they got tired of being coddled and being more like men. When we walk to a bar or club, it's not the same no more. It feels like women just are not impressed by men anymore. They are happy being themselves. alone with friends, trying to compete with men. Compared to how society and culture were 7 or 8 decades ago, the era we currently live in has undergone a significant change. One thing particularly jumps to me when I consider these changes. Why do guys no longer approach women the same way they used to? What happened during this time? Do men not want to be with women, or are they just tired of chasing them around and making fools out of themselves? Before social media, smartphones, and the internet, there was no fast method to contact women no matter how far away they were from you. Men used to physically approach women and express their interest in them back then since there was no other method to engage with them. Before a guy could take the girl out on a date, he had to adhere to social conventions by dressing properly and even talking to her parents. Guys can now contact women anytime they want, from wherever, and the same is true for women who want to interact with men. The problem is when men going their own way gets bigger, and it will. Women will try to turn around and come back to needing us as we were years ago. But Pandora's box is opened. Things can never be the same. Truths have been revealed. How women really feel toward men have been revealed, and it's very disappointing. Relationships with modern women are only temporary. All of this hails back to their body count. For those that don't know, more than 3 lifetime intimate partners for women equals ran through. For recreational use only. If you want the receipts, I'll get you the receipts. Can modern women even be approached? If you want to be contacted, you need to appear approachable. Otherwise, people will take one look at you and decide not to approach you, much less engage in conversation. And today's women carry themselves in public as if they were some sort of royalty. Another reason why men don't approach women anymore is how women behave in public. They are just not very approachable in the sense that they give off a vibe that says, "Don't bother me." I mean, if a guy had a really angry expression all the time that basically said, "Do not come near me," would any woman approach that guy? Not at all. The same thing applies to women in public and private settings. If a man sees a woman he likes and wants to start a conversation with, and she looks cold and closed off, he will assume she doesn't want to talk to anyone and he wouldn't want to approach that woman. That is how important smiling and looking inviting with open body language is. But modern women don't care and aren't willing to change. Likewise, men are just not going to approach, and that's that. But when men don't approach, the bushland complains that men are not approaching. The result is that whenever men see the woman they like, even if they want to approach her, her body language and attitude make them want to stay away. Women then gripe that males no longer approach them. Ladies, if you want people to approach you, at the very least work on your appearance to make it nicer and friendlier. You don't always have to appear as though you're about to explode in rage. Otherwise, even if you want guys to approach you, they would just ignore you. Men have just had it with women's never-ending complaints and excessive expectations. Women don't want a man who is unattractive. They don't want a man who drives a Honda or Toyota or Hyundai. They don't want a man who's shorter than 5 feet 9 inches. They don't want a man who earns anything less than XYZ amounts. Do you know what I mean? Yet they continue to cheat on guys who already have all they desire. Men are now starting to wake up and comprehend all of this. They don't have time to waste worrying about women who make interacting with them pointless. Women don't appear to be aware of how essentially rigged the game is for guys. They desire what they desire. Men will also no longer engage in accepting the unwelcoming behavior of women. It's not like we're in the 90s anymore when dating was more of a game played in a world that wasn't digital. Women are increasingly unapproachable because they have a negative attitude whenever a guy tries to approach them with honesty. And with social media, there has been a dramatic and transformational change in the way dating takes place. Just go check social media and you'll find dozens of women talking about why men need to approach them like they used to. These women are telling men that they will not budge unless they're nicely approached and then asked out. What these women lack is basic empathy. They do not understand where the men are coming from in this situation, why they're not approaching women, and why even more men will stop approaching women in the future. Thanks for watching The Circle of Kings. As always, we're looking forward to your support. So please hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with everything all kings like yourself need to know.